Okay, we're going to call to order the March 26, 2014 meeting of the Tarpon Springs Board of Adjustment. It's my understanding that application 1413 was withdrawn?
Withdrawn, yes, by
Okay.
staff.
So we have application 1411 and 1412. Would you like to explain the quorum situation to the?
Yes, to the applicants. The Board of Adjustments rules of procedure dictate that three board members must be present, at least three, for a quorum. But at the same time, the rules also require that when you only have three, that all three members must vote in the affirmative in order for it to be an approved application. And what we normally do is we extend the the ability to the applicant to defer their item to the next meeting if they feel that they would like to have a full board hear the application. So do you still want to proceed tonight, or would you prefer to defer the application to next month's meeting? Okay.
No, it's fine. We just want to know what your position is.
I think you should proceed.
Okay. Okay. Could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Darby?
Here.
Mr. Delgado? Mr. Fran?
Here.
Mr. Cole? Sorry. Mr. Hasek? And Jeremy King, sorry.
Here. Okay, this is going to be a quasi-judicial proceeding, meaning that this evening the board is going to make the decision based on sworn testimony and evidence presented to us by the applicants and any witnesses. So if everybody who's planning on presenting testimony to the board tonight, please stand up and be sworn in. Do you swear that the testimony that you're going to provide this evening will be the truth?
I do.
Okay. We will now move on to application 1411 and presentation by staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This application is a variance to reduce the required rear yard setback from 20 feet down to 15 feet. You see in your backup, the property is an R60 zoning district, and the rear setback is 20 feet. The subject property is lots 1 and 2 of the Riverview at Tarpon subdivision. The proposal is to reduce the required rear setback to allow for the construction of a new single-family detached home. And the justification is based on the amount of easements and the reduced lot depth as compared to other lots in the subdivision. The Technical Review Committee reviewed the application at the March 13th meeting and did not object to the request. As far as the review criteria, our analysis had determined that the need for the variance is based upon the physical characteristics of the property. The subdivision was platted in 2006 as a series of 10 lots with frontage on Hope Street to the west and Athens Street to the east. And I've attached a copy of the plat that shows the orientation of the subdivision. And it has a private drive that provides access to all the lots. Lot 1 has a drainage easement platted on it, and it is serving as a retention pond for the subdivision. The lot depths range to a little over 89 feet to the west and a little over 117 feet to the east. It's a private subdivision that has several easements, including 25-foot ingress-egress, drainage, and utility easement, as well as a 10-foot drainage and utility easement and pedestrian easement that were also platted along the southern property boundary. Furthermore, all the lots have a platted 13-foot drainage and utility easement along the northern property boundary. As with these types of dedications and encumbrances, they prevent any structures from being built within these areas, which effectively reduces the buildable area of each lot. In this situation, the encumbrances in total occupy approximately 48 feet of the lot depths, the depths of lots 1 and 2. Which the applicant desires to combine lots 1 and 2 and construct one home, and it's our opinion that these lots will be impacted greater than any other in the subdivision. Our analysis criteria 2 have determined that the conditions associated with the request have not been self-created. They are based on the physical characteristics of lots 1 and 2 and the amount of encumbrances that are platted for this small subdivision. Criteria 3, our determination is little enforcement of the setback requirements would deny the reasonable application of consistent building setbacks. The other units in the subdivision are actually built as 2-unit attached townhomes, and the little quirk in our code is since they are what we call single-family attached dwelling units, they actually have a minimum 15-foot rear setback. Since lots 1 and 2 will be combined for one single-family detached home, they have actually a 20-foot rear setback. So the minimum variance, in our opinion, is to reduce the rear setback by 5 feet to have that consistent rear setback across all lots in the subdivision. We don't feel that the variance granted would extend a special privilege to the applicant. We also determined that granting the request will allow for the construction of a single-family detached home, which will improve property values, maintain the character of this area, and provide a positive effect on the public interest, health, safety, and welfare. We also found positive findings on the remaining criteria. As far as public correspondence, we did receive a visit by one couple who lived in the area. They received a mailed notice. They wanted to learn more about the application, but once I explained it to them, they did not object to the request. It's our opinion that the application has met all the review criteria, and the recommendation is to approve the applicant's request to reduce the rear setback from 20 feet to 15 feet. I've provided a location map, aerial photo, zoning map, a future land use map, as well as a site plan showing lots 1 and 2 and the footprint of the proposed home and the 5-foot encroachment along the rear. I've also attached a copy of the recorded subdivision plat, and page 2 of that plat I've tried to highlight in a color-coded fashion the easements on the property and their locations, as well as the lot depth. As you see, it is much more narrow on the left-hand side versus on the right. Excuse me. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Do you have any questions for staff? Okay. Would the applicant, I don't know which applicant is for this, would you like to come forward and provide some testimony?
Good evening. My name is Farhad Nick J. I'm the developer.
Need your address.
3545 Landmark Trail, Palm Harbor, Florida. I bought this project when it was completely done, and it's, like Mr. Chapman said, the lots that are in question are so much narrower, and they're platted lots, so I can have actually 2 3-story townhomes on them with a 15-feet setback. But we chose, we'd like to drop a unit and just put a 2-story, one building. And when we submitted the plans for the zoning, they said, well, because it's one building, the setback now has to be 20 feet. So it just didn't really make sense to us because they're all townhomes and they all have 15 feet setback to the rear. So we would request the same setback as the other buildings, and this is 1 floor lower and 1 unit less.
Okay.
If you have any questions,
Yeah, are there any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you very much. I guess I'll just note that there doesn't appear to be anybody here to speak in favor or opposition to this application. Do we have any discussion regarding this application? If not, I will accept the motion in a second.
I would like to move a motion that we accept, vote on application 1411.
Okay, are you motioning to approve it or deny it?
Approve.
Okay, so I have a motion to approve application 1411
Second.
and a second. Could we have a vote, please?
Mr. Darby,
Yes.
Mr. Fran,
Yes.
and Chairman King.
Yes. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll now move on to application 1412, and we'll hear staff's presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a variance to increase the maximum fence height from 6 to 8 feet in the side and rear yards and from 4 to 6 feet in the required front yard. The code section that is applicable to this request is in your backup. The location of the property is at 1401 Meyer Lane. Essentially, the request is to increase the maximum fence height by 2 feet along both the sides and the rear and as well as the front. And the justification is based on grade or elevation changes between the subject property and the Keystone Road sidewalk. The Technical Review Committee reviewed the application at the March 13th meeting and did not object to the request. As far as our findings on the review criteria, we had determined that the need for the variance is based on the topographical conditions associated with the applicant's property. As you probably know, the Keystone Road project widened the road from a 2-lane undivided facility to a 4-lane divided roadway with sidewalks, a trail, and other improvements. The design criteria for the new road required that there be fill brought in, which elevated the road profile from anywhere between 2 and 5 feet in most areas. The applicant's property is located at the intersection of Meyer Lane and Keystone Road, and the construction, now that it's done, has created a major grade differential between the sidewalk and the applicant's property. This condition has caused privacy concerns for the applicant, and I have attached a sheet from the construction plans that shows the grade differential between the road elevation and the subject property. And what you'll see is that the subject property is at basically 11.5 foot elevation, and the sidewalk with the railing along Keystone Road is about 14.5 foot elevation. This grade differential is unique to the subject property and makes the usual or customary 4 or 6 foot privacy fence ineffective. As far as the conditions or special circumstances associated with this request are purely based on the improvements that were done with the Keystone Road widening project. Literal enforcement of the code would deny the same privacy considerations for the applicant that other property owners in this neighborhood enjoy. It's our opinion that the minimum variance is necessary is to increase the fence height by 2 feet for the front, side, and rear yards. We don't feel that this variance would extend a special privilege to the applicant, and that we have also determined that the installation of this fence will have a positive impact on the surrounding neighborhood. We also have found positive findings in the other criteria. As far as public correspondence, just like the previous application, we did receive a visit from 2 gentlemen who live in Hillside Landings, which is the subdivision to the east, and they wanted to know a little bit more about the application. They received the postcard, and once I explained to them the proposal for the fence locations, they did not object to the request. It's our recommendation that the board approve the request to increase the maximum fence height from 6 foot to 8 foot in the side and rear yards and from 4 to 6 in the front yard for the property at 1401 Meyer Lane. Given your customary maps, I'd like to draw your attention to this sheet here that gives you an approximate location of the 8-foot fence and the 6-foot fence, although the applicant may want to modify this in some fashion and bring it more towards the road. One thing that probably isn't readily apparent on the survey, there is a municipal or City of Tarpon Springs pump station at the back corner of the property. There is also a 15-foot platted access drainage and utility easement that runs along that left-hand side of her property. So that's why you see the fence running along the asphalt drive, because the city has to maintain, I believe, service that pump station, I believe, daily. So they need to have access there. She will, if the board does approve and she decides to put the fence along the front, she will coordinate that and receive permission from the city's Public Services Department prior to any permitting or installation of that fence. I've also, this is the plan sheet from the roadway plans, and the blue line identifies grade it identifies the roughly the previous grade of the roadway, and then the sidewalk and railing, and then the right-of-way line, and then her property elevation. And so you can clearly see there is about a 3.5 foot grade differential between the sidewalk and her property. And then she was able to provide a series of photographs that demonstrate the lack of privacy when it comes to her property from people that utilize the Keystone Road sidewalk. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions for staff?
No questions.
Just to satisfy my own curiosity, was visibility for people using the roadway, that was considered, I would imagine?
Yes.
As far as, okay. And it looks like based on the increase in the grade in the roadway, that the fence probably wouldn't be any higher than if the grade had remained the same as before.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Would you like to come forward and provide some testimony? Thank you.
Hello, I am Anastasia Knecht, and I'm an owner of this property. I just want to make few explanations on this project. First of all, there are two problems. The first one is on the left side. I want to increase this fence on the left side so people who walk on the Keystone Road and the cars don't look into my backyard, because right now everything is visible and they just basically go and look into. And on the left side, I definitely need 8 feet height at least. And the second problem is the fence on the front yard. Basically, I just installed extend a spout thing there, and a couple days ago someone stole them. So I think I need to protect this area from the excess. And this is also a driveway to the city utility station, and as far as I know, I talk to people, they come once in a week. That's what they said. And definitely I want to put there, if I will get your permission, of course, I will put a gate at least 10 feet wide with the opener, and I will definitely keep it open for the city to have an access to the station. But at least to protect the property at night, I will just lock it for the night time. And I also have a 4-year-old child, so I don't really feel secure in this open space.
Okay,
Thank
are there
you.
any questions for the applicant?
No questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any discussion of this application? Okay, if there's no discussion, I will accept the motion in a second.
Motion to approve application number 1412.
I second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve application number 1412. Could we have a vote, please?
Mr. Darby,
Yes.
Mr. Fran,
Yes.
and Chairman King.
Yes. Thank you very much. Okay, we're on to staff comments. Any comments? Nope. All right, board comments? No, all right.
Good job, Rodney. On the packets.
Okay, this meeting's adjourned.